morning. Happy Monday. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Beautiful day out today. I'll go ahead and flip the camera. See, not a cloud in the sky. It's probably in the low 60s right now. Slight breeze. Beautiful day for hiking. Good morning, Kathy. Good morning, Stu. See if we've got some happy poison oak sticking out of this coyote bush. They look like little palm trees. Probably super happy from the big rain that we had. Look how blue the ocean is. So beautiful out today. I'll go ahead and introduce myself as we start our stroll. Good morning, everyone. My name is Robin. I work for California State Parks, and you can find me every Monday, usually every Monday, doing a live stream somewhere in the San Luis Obispo Coast District. And so that's anywhere from, if you're familiar with the Central California Coast, Montana de Oro State Park, which is actually where I'm at today, which is in the southern part of our district, all the way up past Hearst Castle towards Piedras Blancas Elephant Seal Rookery. So we've got 42 miles of beautiful coastline here, and we celebrate MPA Monday. So MPAs, for those of you who are unfamiliar, are marine protected areas. And a lot of our parks actually have, are adjacent to marine protected areas that we have along the California coast. So today we're at Montana de Oro State Park, which is adjacent to the Point Lucian MPA, or Marine Protected Area, which is just out here. It's a beautiful spot. If you guys have never been here, exactly where I'm at is towards the southern end of Montana de Oro State Park. So if anybody's hiked Coon Creek before, that is right where I'm actually across from. So this is Coon Creek in that direction, and I am actually walking out onto the bluff towards the coast. So if you've got some time, stick around, because it's a beautiful shot at the very end. It's a beautiful wild coast. You'll be able to see some of it even on the way to the bluff there. But again, my name is Robin. I work for California State Parks. If you have any questions, comments, or recommendations about where you'd like to visit in future MPA Mondays, go ahead and let me know, because obviously I would much rather have you all here with me on a hike, but this is the best that we've got right now, and it's beautiful out today, so I'm glad that you all could join me. I'll go ahead and flip the camera again. I see Nancy on here. Hello, Nancy. She's asking, I don't know if I answered your question already. She's asking where I am exactly. She's familiar with Spooner Creek or Spooner Ranch House, which some of you who have ever been here may have seen before. Spooner Cove, beautiful beach just to the north of us. So if you keep driving in to the very end of the park, If you drive a little bit too further on, you actually won't be able to, for the most part. That's PG&E property just to the south of us. And I believe that they're open sporadic days of the week. I think maybe twice a week you can go hiking over there. But the very southern parking lot in Montana de Oro is the Coon Creek parking lot. And I'm just walking west from there. Hope that answers your question. Got lots of birds out today. This one kind of looks like a junco. I don't want to get too close. Oh, he already got spooked off. Kind of looks like a junco, but the coloring was a little bit more prominent. Juncos have the dark head. They're super little. They're always fun to see. If you're ever in Morro Bay, you'll often see them near Windy Cove and the Museum of Natural History. Good morning, Robert. Haven't been out here yet since the rain. And on the way in, I did see quite a few poppies have popped, so maybe we'll get some wildflowers. Actually see some off in the distance there. Hills have a bit of green on them. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
One of my absolute favorites. I always wish I had smell-o-vision when I see this. This is coastal sage. You can imagine kind of an earthy mint smell. Super yummy. Lots of it just blooming off of the dried bits here. No, we've got some poppies here. All the speckles of orange. The leaves are always so pretty too. Supposedly we're supposed to get some rain in the next week or so, so let's hope these wildflowers go a little crazy, last a little bit longer. Maybe we'll even make it to spring. Still technically in winter, which is always so interesting when you meet or see people from across the country or across the world dealing with ice storms and 18 inches of snow. Ken is asking, why is Spooner's Port called Point? I actually don't know that because I've only heard of the Cove, so Spooner's Cove, which is, if anybody's ever been here before, that's the main beach that you can enter. It's right across from the Spooner Ranch House. So there probably is a point beyond that. If you're asking about the name Spooner, that's actually a family that lived here. It's actually several families. The history of Montana de Oro is pretty fascinating. Actually, lots of families living here, whether they're ranching. There's also some importing and exporting, I believe, in the cove, because the main road to get here currently comes from the north, and that's Pecho Valley Road. But way back in the day, before that road existed, the main way to get here was actually through this canyon, right here, beyond near Coon Creek. I believe it's called Ruta Canyon. And it was definitely not a paved road at the time, but it was the main way to get here. So families that lived out here were extremely remote. Ken is also asking, called Bouchon Landing in books when the point is further south. So Point Bouchon is in this direction, which is actually not a part of state park property. So that's why we always hike on this trail here, just because it's adjacent to, because even that bit of bluff just beyond the distance isn't state park property, it's PG&E property. And Spooner's Cove is just to the north, which is on state park property. You can see all the conifers. You might be able to see them. Some conifers all on this hill here. So pretty out today. You may be able to even see in the distance Harmony Headlands. You can see that stretch of land out on the horizon. This is actually the southern part, not only of our district, the San Luis Obispo Coast District, but also a larger bay, which is funny because we have Morro Bay within that larger bay. And this large bay here, so stretching, I believe, from Point Bouchon all the way, curving right there, it's known as Estero Bay. Estero actually meaning estuary. It's gonna get a little bit louder in just a bit. We're getting much closer to the coast. I actually see some pretty big swell off in the distance. So I'm wondering if there's some larger waves breaking on the cliffs here. Good morning. For those of you just joining, welcome. We're here at Montana de Oro State Park, checking out this beautiful wild coast, walking out towards the Point Bouchon Marine Protected Area. Just approaching the coast now. Always getting sidetracked by wildflowers. These are, I believe these are the endemic San Luis Obispo morning glory, because they have that defined magenta line. I may be completely wrong, so any wildflower experts, feel free to ID those for the group. Yeah, we've got some big swell. Oh, we've even got a sea otter off in the distance. And this is new, so anybody who's been here before This erosion right here probably happened the last rains and storm we had a bit ago. So a good reminder to always stay clear of the cliffs. See if I can zoom in on that sea otter for you guys. I think he just went down. Beautiful wild coast, isn't it? Good morning, Monica. It is a beautiful day. Good morning, Marilee. Lenny could join us from Georgia. The Point Bouchon Marine Protected Area, or MPA for short. And an MPA is much like an underwater park. Look at these rocks. Parks that we're all familiar with, whether it's a state park, a national park, park down the street from your house. Parks are awesome. Parks are wild spaces where we can play, we can picnic, we can hike, we can ride our bike, we can basketball, depending what kind of park it is. They're usually places we can play. And they're protected. They're protected not only for us to recreate and hang out in, but also for the wildlife that lives there to thrive, for that habitat to be protected. And for a long time we didn't have anything like that in the ocean, which is so bizarre because 75% of our planet is ocean. But now we have these marine protected areas, so these areas in the ocean that are safe and protected. So for any of us that enjoy, oh my gosh, look at these waves. For any of us that enjoy simply just walking on a beach or a bluff like I am now, maybe bird watching, whale watching, snorkeling, surfing, boogie boarding, tide pooling, whatever it is that you like to do in or near or around the ocean, it just makes for a more enjoyable experience. Allowing for us to enjoy these beautiful wild spaces, because these MPAs are so cool. They're not just protecting one species, like a certain kind of fish or bird, maybe even a kelp forest, but they're protecting all of the species that live within that ecosystem and how they interact with each other, which is super important because you always want to make sure we have balance, right? Look at this wild endemic creature here. The notorious ground squirrel. If you ever see these guys, whatever you do not feed them. Looks like a postcard. Do not feed these little critters. No matter how big their eyes get or how close they get, these little critters can be trouble. And they're everywhere. Sunbathing. And the reason that they're not afraid of me as I walk by is because they have been fed. So they've been habituated to humans, unfortunately. And that goes for most wildlife though, right? You guys are smart. You know not to feed wildlife. These guys can get their own food. There's another culprit over here of begging for food. The western gull. Just feeding these animals allows for them to become dependent on humans, which, sad story, has actually happened along Morro Rock. So these ground squirrels exist all along Morro Rock. Anybody who's ever visited that parking lot knows that they're everywhere. And at the beginning of COVID, that parking lot was actually blocked off. And so humans weren't really accessing that area nearly as much as they were, except for rangers and law enforcement. And what actually happened is that a lot of these ground squirrels were meeting their demise because they weren't able to find their own food. They weren't able to fend for themselves. They were used to peanuts and Doritos. And that's just a small example of what happens when anybody feeds wildlife, whether it's intentionally feeding them or unintentionally. You can see this western gull is also a little bit habituated. Seeing if I've got any snacks. So, having a picnic outside, simply cleaning up your crumbs, cleaning up after yourselves, allows for these animals to eat the food that they're meant to eat, rather than having some intentional or unintentional handouts. These waves are amazing. So beautiful out today. I want to thank you all so much for joining me and the critters that are lingering. So glad that you can join me on this walk on the wild coast of Montana de Oro State Park, checking out this beautiful marine protected area. I hope you all have an absolutely beautiful day. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and most importantly, stay kind. Bye everyone.